Today we've got 25 different sets of wire strippers, you guys. I own way too many wire strippers, and some of them are fantastic and I use them frequently. Some of them I thought I was gonna use, and honestly, they're terrible. So I'm gonna let you guys know so you guys don't have to waste your money on the stuff I wasted my money on, and you guys can skip straight to the good stuff. So with there being so many different kinds of wire strippers, we're gonna go through the basic types of wire strippers first, then we'll go to automatic, then we'll go to heavy duty. Those are the main three. Then from there, we'll get more exotic. It's the stuff that's less traditional and go into the more interesting stuff. Some of the stuff that I thought was gonna work and some of the stuff that did work better than what we see traditionally. So make sure you stick around to the end so you get all of the goodness and not just the main stuff, but also those things that I carry every day and use pretty frequently. Now, before we get started, I do want to let you know today's video is brought to you by Aura. Running a business can be challenging enough without the constant barrage of spam calls interrupting your day. I know this way too well because my business number seems to be a magnet for unwanted intrusions. It's very frustrating to be in the middle of a task only to have your focus dashed by yet another robocall trying to tell you something that you don't need. I decided to take action and find out just how my information was ending up in the hands of these scammers. And when I did, I discovered Aura, the sponsor of today's video. It's been a game changer for me, alerting me when my personal information is being sold on the dark web or by data brokers. Not only that, but Aura removes this information from the data broker websites, giving me an extra layer of protection. In light of recent events like the AT&T data breach that exposed over 73 million customer records on the dark web, having a service like Aura is more important than ever. Instead of just having to juggle multiple apps and services to keep my data secure, Aura does it for me conveniently in one place. With Aura working in the background to keep me safe, I can focus on running my business without worrying about my personal information falling into the wrong hands. I value my privacy and I value yours. You can go to aura.com/American to start your free trial, or there's a link in the description. Now, first up, we're gonna go through these basic wire strippers, and we're gonna start with the things that I would avoid, okay? These are things like this set here from Weha. Now, sets like this that are just very, very inexpensive and cheap seem like a great idea at the beginning. They're really not. They make it incredibly difficult to strip just about anything that you want. They're very frustrating to use. They're very cheaply made. I love Weha tools. Weha makes some fantastic pliers, especially. This set of wire strippers just isn't, it's not that. Everyone makes a version of these that is just like cheap. Avoid these at all costs, especially because for like $4 more, you can get any of these next sets, which are fantastic. Now, moving into pairs that are acceptable, that are great. You guys we have pairs like this one here from Klein, Greenlee, or Ideal. Pairs like this Klein are probably what you're typically used to. They are the normal, just like wire stripper that everybody has for the most part. They're spring loaded. There is a locking mechanism on them. This is the glow in the dark version, which I think is cooler than the regular version. This is acceptable, you guys. These work well. They'll last you for the amount of time that they should for something like that. Ideal makes something very, very similar. I've got two sets here. One of them is the Reflex over here on my right and your left, and this is their other pair. I'll leave links to all this stuff in the description. I prefer the non-reflex style. This fits my hand a little bit better, especially for this type of stripper. I know a lot of people that love the Reflex, okay? This is also an acceptable thing to get. They strip well, they'll last you for a long time. There's not gonna be issues. Ideal's really good with their quality control. They don't have a ton of mistakes, which is very, very nice, okay? And then last but not least, we have these Greenlees here. This is the Pro set from Greenlee. They are absolutely fantastic, and they go down one more size than the typical wire stripper this size does. This goes down to 8 stranded, which is pretty low. That's the main reason why I like this set so much, is because of how low it goes. Now, all of these in this category have these bolt cutters, which are for your 832 and your 632 device screws. That's important. You're gonna have to have those on there. I don't think any of these don't have them except for the cheap Weha ones. Now, this one does have a crimper as well. That's not a big deal for me, but some of you guys probably that matters too. But these are all acceptable. Like, these are good. If you get them, you won't be disappointed. But there is a last portion of this category, which is the standouts, okay? And both of these options are gonna be newer options that I've gotten this year, but wow, they are fantastic. Number one is the Crocs. You guys, I made a similar video to this one about a year ago, and this is the most recommended wire stripper on that video or ever. Okay, everybody was just raving about this, that it was so great and that it was fantastic. And honestly, this one here, it's hard to fit it in this category, but I'll tell you why I did, and it's because while these are the Crocs, there's also the Crocs Junior. I say that because this has an NM stripper at the front here, which it also is a little bit of a more heavy duty plier. They're very inexpensive. They cost the exact same as the Kleins, which is crazy. They just feel nicer and they feel more heavy duty. There is a little glow ring up top. This portion is glow in the dark. It also has the bolt cutters, and it also it goes down to 10 stranded, which is great. And the fact that this does 12-2 and 14-2 in the same hole is actually kind of crazy. I didn't know that was possible. But like I said, there are the Croc Juniors. I have to include them in this because they are one of my favorite sets of wire strippers now. I like them a lot. The functionality is fantastic. The other standout set of pliers in this category that I really love are gonna be this set from Klein. This is one of their newer sets and it's insulated, and that's what makes it different. I don't understand why we don't carry more insulated tools. People are really weird about it. I carry a lot of insulated tools. I work service, so a lot of the times I already have power going through whatever I'm working on. There's power around it, even if my circuit's off, and I end up doing a lot of live work when it has to be done. But even when I'm not doing live work, I carry insulated tools because I'm an electrician, and why not? These don't go up significantly in price, which is the only reason why I believe that we haven't previously carried more insulated tools as electricians, because the price was so expensive here in America. I've been carrying insulated German tools for forever because the prices are the same in Germany, almost price for price for the insulated or the non-insulated. So it doesn't make sense to not have the insulated, especially when you can and it doesn't cost you anymore. I like the look of them. They look cool. They're Kleins. You guys know they work well. They're going to strip well. They're great strippers, okay? So if you guys are looking for the standout pair, these are the ones for you. The Crocs or the Crocs Junior if you're not a residential guy, which I'm not, but I love this stripper. And you guys can see there's a V cutter on the bottom of this. That is for stripping NM cable as well. Those are from Racketeers, and like I said, there will be links to all this stuff in the description, but if you're looking for the smaller end, the cheaper end of things, you want a lighter pair, those last two pairs are the pairs for you. Another very common style of stripper is gonna be the automatic wire stripper. Now I've got two here and I really like both of them. I like them both for different reasons though. This is the Klein Catapult up first, and you guys are probably familiar with this. You squeeze the handles together, it pulls it, and it pulls it apart. I love these for lighting, retrofitting lights, especially for old lights, when you have the wires that have been heated up, like they're just hot from being up there. They don't want to strip with traditional strippers. These things are a lifesaver. They'll save your hand. I don't find them to be very functional, very quick as far as my workflow goes. I don't find that if I'm just like running through doing outlets that this is the pair that I pick up ever. But I do pick this up for lighting very, very often, because it is much easier than constantly stripping. But you put it in there and it just pulls it apart like that. It grabs on. It's great. It works every time. Klein, they make great strippers. You guys know this. Klein makes excellent tools. Now the place for this lacks is the cutter. If this had a cutter on it, I think it would be a lot more functional, but the only cutter is through this hole here in the middle, but it already has to be cut and it already has to be prepared. It just doesn't work, okay? It doesn't work to be quick. It doesn't work to be fast or easy, but it does strip well, especially for wires that don't like to be stripped. This is the pair I'm picking up every time for that. I would recommend having a pair of those, especially if you're looking at them and you want them, they work. The second pair of automatic wire strippers, definitely a different use situation. Couple of things that are great about these. They are solo, so it is one size fits all. You can change how far back it strips with this yellow thing. This way you know all of your wires have the same length. If you're doing something constantly, you can just set it. These are all plastic except for the teeth, so they are insulated. Now, does it say insulated on here? No, but it is. And the other thing that they do is they strip away, so you don't have to pull. When you do a traditional set of wire strippers, and this is the wire, you have to have it sideways. It takes up a lot less room. I like this for outlets in old homes that are garbage, and electricians used to like try to fight to see how short their wires could be. And now we're paying for it because the wires are so short, and to order to retrofit, it's a mess. This is one of the ways that you can strip short wires because it pulls away and you don't have to have your entire set of wire strippers in there. It just makes it easier. I like this set a lot, especially if things are on or if things are tight. Whatever it is, these things are sweet. They're from Philo. There are a couple different brands that make this wire stripper here, but this Philo one is pretty available and it's pretty inexpensive for what it is. So I do like this one, I think, better than the other versions of it, because of how available it is. Now this third section here is a tough one. It's filled with a lot of gems. This is my favorite portion of the wire stripper section. This is where I use the most. I like this. I prefer this style the most. Each one has their own benefits. There's only one that I'm gonna tell you not to get, and it's this yellow set here from Klein. It is their combination wire stripper and needle nose. I do like the needle nose portion on this. That's one thing that this has that I wanted. That's why I got them originally. They just weren't it. They're the only style that has the pinch cut instead of shears on them. I prefer shears. You guys will see the rest of these pliers are going to be shears. I don't feel like these strip that well, and they don't cut well at all. I like Klein. They have a lot better options for wire strippers that have shears for the heavy duty versions. That's the one that I'll say not to get. Avoid that one. If you're looking for a heavy duty plier, don't go to that one. But one of the tools that we just got in that is also one of the most recommended tools on that list is these 7-in-1 wire strippers from Milwaukee. These things are sweet. They're high leverage. Okay, they also have a 6-in-1 that has more of a needle nose. This one here has a flat jaw, almost a lineman style. I prefer a needle nose. I know it's back and forth for other people. I've heard mixed reviews. I will say I've enjoyed using them so far. I have like a week in on them. Okay, so nothing crazy, but definitely a sweet pair. They look good. They're really not that expensive, but this is a pair that I would say if you're gonna get them, you'll be happy with them. They work well. Very similar are these Ideal here. Now, this set from Ideal is one of the least talked about pliers that I've seen. I love this set of pliers. I like the thinner head up here. That's something that I appreciate. They strip well, they cut well, their handles are ergonomic, which is important for me. There are two crimpers on this. There's one up top and one in between the handles on the other side. That extra functionality is cool. Again, I don't crimp a ton. That's important to some people. I like that there's a crimper on this. The crimper on the Milwaukee is underneath. It's in the middle here, right where my finger is, right underneath that locking mechanism. It just hides under there. It's cool that they hid that under there. Again, both Ideal and Milwaukee pliers are great options. And the third is going to be the set from Channel Lock here. This one is the closest to being in that first section, but really they're just too high quality. Okay, I love this set of pliers. They're a lot smaller. They maneuver well. They have a thin head, which I really, really like. They cut extremely well. The handles are ergonomic. I love the way these feel. They're a very soft rubber everywhere. They have a lot of texture to them, which that's important to me. You might not care at all. Now, all of these have the bolt cutters in there, which is cool. This is an excellent pair of wire strippers here from Channel Lock. Definitely something you won't be disappointed with. That puts an end to the pliers that are heavy duty, that I will say they're a good choice. If you want to get them, get them. This last pair here are the Knipex forged wire strippers. I call these the standout ones. I'm gonna be honest, there's some things that I don't like about this that I love about the other wire strippers in this. So just pay attention, pick the one that you like the best. Again, this is, I think, where you get the most utility for your money. I think they're the highest quality. I think they cut the best. But there's a couple of things, like I said, this is the standout pair. But that being said, if another pair came out that did one or two of these things and had a little bit better form, I'm going over to them immediately. Why these are different is because they cut so much better. Knipex is known for their cutting. Their shears on this are absolutely insane. And as you can see, I can push that open and get it very, very wide. These open up wider than any of the other wire strippers, which will allow you to do one very big thing, which is to cut MC cable with these wire strippers. They chomp through MC very, very easily. Their cutters are amazing. They're the only pair that can do this on this list. Now, I don't love how wide the head is on these. I really wish it was thinner. It is pretty thin from the side, and they don't go down to 10 stranded, which for me as a commercial and industrial electrician, a lot of our lighting circuits tend to be 10 stranded in certain facilities because of voltage drop. Now, another cool thing about this one I don't care about as much, and I almost prefer it to be the other way, but some people love it, and it's that there's threadless bolt cutters on this. I prefer there to be threads on there so I can rethread my screws if I need to. It's probably just a weird thing that I ran into once, and now I think about it all the time. But when I think about it, that's my thought process. This does have the coolest locking mechanism. It's this little thing up here where my finger's at. You just push it up to lock it, and you just push it down to unlock it. The spring on these is great. They strip extremely well. They work well. I wish they had the VDE version of these, which is the insulated. The handles on the insulated will look like this. They do have a European version, a metric version of this wire stripper in VDE, which is, again, their insulated 1000 volt rated set of pliers. So hopefully we'll get that soon. I'm waiting. I really like that. I like for all my pliers to match, and all of my other pliers are insulated. Like I said earlier, why not have it? Especially when for the European brands, they pretty much cost the exact same as what the comfort grip or the standard grip would cost you. So all that being said, this is the main portion of wire strippers that I really love and that I use frequently, like every day. This is my favorite pair, or as of right now. But if there were a pair with a thin nose that could open up wide enough to cut MCE cable and had 10 stranded, that would be the perfect, ideal wire stripper for me. That being said, might not be for you. You might prefer the larger head so you don't have to carry a pair of linemen's so you can twist your wires with it. Now we're gonna get into some more niche, more specific stuff, and we're gonna try to fly through these because these aren't nearly as important, okay? First up, we're gonna do NM strippers, okay? Now, NM strippers are important if you do residential. You might want them, you might not even use them if you do residential stuff. I've got a pair from Weha and I've got a pair from Ideal. I definitely prefer the set from Ideal. They're a lot heavier duty. They have a locking mechanism on them. They have a massive head, a lineman style head. But typically NM strippers will have a section for 14.2, 12.2, 12, and 14 individual. So that way you can strip both the sheathing and the actual wire. They have bolt threaders on them. They're heavy duty. They are inexpensive. They're ergonomic. If you're wanting a dedicated set of NM strippers, this is a great set right here from Ideal. I like that they're heavy duty. That's really the big thing for me. I also have a very inexpensive pair. This would be closer to the first set of wire strippers that I showed, the cheaper, less expensive versions. It's an NM stripper, again, 12.2, 14.2, 12, and 14 individually as well. They also are spring loaded. They're just cheaper, they're less expensive, the handles aren't as ergonomic, they're smaller, you don't have as much to grip. Definitely not the pair I prefer, but it will get the job done, especially if you like dipped handles, which I do not like dipped handles at all. I prefer comfort grip or insulated. Next up, we're gonna do combination, which are our true combination pliers. Their main function isn't stripping. First up is a set of diagonal cutters from Knipex. This little set is strange. I go back and forth with these. They're a very snappy diagonal cutter. They're sharp. They're not like a high leverage like the traditional version. I like how thin this head is though because of MC cable. I strip MC cable with these frequently. It also strips 12 and 14 solid right there in the middle. And they strip MC cable well though with that pointy nose. You get it in those little grooves and just snip. It's really easy. I prefer these for that and that alone. If I'm not doing MC cable, I'm not using these. That's just how it goes. But this just allows me to have one more tool that's quick, it's easy, it's one tool, and it's done. I like these. I don't like them for the price. If you guys want them, they're there in the description, but these are not necessary at all. Next up are the installation pliers from Knipex. These are sweet. These are super sick. I wish that Knipex made a version of these that had more stripping on them. They do 12 and 14 solid. Right here where my finger is, they have a thin nose. They're very, very easy to maneuver. At the end of them here, you probably won't be able to see it, but there are no teeth on the end of it, which will allow you to handle wires without damaging them. That's sweet. I love to use these in panel work. They are VDE, they're insulated, and just so you guys know, the VDE handles from Knipex are amazing. They're the most ergonomic. I love how comfortable they are. They feel great in my hands, and I'm protected. There's also a gap up here for you to grab nuts and bolts and stuff. There's a crimper right before the stripper, and then the cutters are also fantastic. They're shears. You can cut MC cable with them. They cut like butter. I love these pliers. I wish they had these pliers in a larger set. I wish they would just chop off this portion, the nut grabbing portion, and they would put in more sizes of wire strippers, preferably lower in the spectrum. So like go down to 10 stranded. That would be sweet. I would never use anything ever again. Next up are some extremely niche pliers that I bought for a project specifically. And honestly, I wasted my money. These are pretty expensive. They're Knipex STRIX. I have a VDE chrome plated version and I have a regular version. I don't love these. Now you put the wire in there and you twist and pull. This is cool and I liked it because you can pull away. You can set this screw here to gauge how deep you want it to go. I don't typically do that. If I'm using these, I'm typically freeballing it and we're just doing it by feel. That's what a lot of people do. I just don't like to lose the screws, so I can actually show you guys what it's supposed to look like, what it's supposed to be used as. That being said, they work. I have them and I don't find myself going to them very often or ever. I don't keep them in my bag. They are just here. And like I said, they're not cheap at all. If it's something that you like or you want, go for it. They do cut well. There are shears. There's versions of these without the shears on them too. I don't know why you would do that. That would almost be like the Klein catapults. It would almost take away a lot of the functionality and make you use another tool. But the shears on these are excellent. I'll say that. They do strip well. I just feel so much faster with a regular set of wire strippers than I do with these every day of the week. We were also messing with some sort of specialty wire at the time. I think it was solar. It's been a couple years. I can't remember exactly which project. I remember the time that we got them. There was a couple different things going on. I think it was solar, and I think it actually didn't work at all. And then I tried them on the regular electrical stuff, and it just wasn't it. Next up are obviously going to be scissors. You guys don't get those cheap American scissors that are all metal. Get a set like this from Knipex. They also make another version that I have that I've lost that are, I think, better than this version. I prefer them. They're more ergonomic. These are great. I've used these for forever. They come with this little case if you get the right version, but there's a small hole in the middle for shears. Obviously the front works as scissors. I use the scissors a ton for string and all kinds of different stuff, but also for low voltage and different stuff like that. These work excellently. They work fantastically. They're super easy to use. They're quick, they're sharp, and they work. The last portion of this is the most impressive. It's the thing that I use over all of these. But the one thing I'll say not to use, especially for cable stripping, is this Knipex knife or any of these knives, these insulated knives. The metal on these are garbage. Don't get them. It's the only tool from Knipex that I don't understand the quality. It's not there. Don't get it. It's garbage. Now, if you're a utility knife guy, if you like a folding utility knife, I did a video on this and I'll tag it at the end. This is my favorite utility knife ever. It's from Fiskars and it's their folding utility knife. The action on it's super smooth. It's made of all metal. It's very ergonomic. The orange on this is a rubber. The blacks, again, metal. Everything else is metal except for the orange, which is a soft rubber. It's very ergonomic. It fits in my hand well. The action on it's great. The blade change is easy. Not gonna do an overkill on this because it's not technically a wire stripper, but people use it to strip cables. And as far as hawk build knives go, I prefer this one here from Tough Built. Also a great option. Some companies won't allow you to use utility knives. And so when you work for those companies, you resort to hawk build knives for sure. But I like to have a hawk build knife around. It's very useful, especially for stripping cable, opening stuff, whatever it is. You guys know how it goes. But lastly, but not least, is this Knipex dismantling tool. This thing is the best thing I have for stripping cables. It's light, it's inexpensive, it's quick, and it's easy. I can keep it in my bag all the time, not have to bring in a specialty electrical tool to strip 3 wires and then lug it in and lug it out. I can just keep this here. Also, SO cord, this thing's a lifesaver. If you haven't tried this, you guys, it's the one thing that I'll say you should get outside of a regular wire stripper that I think everyone should have. Now, the way it works is you push this up. There's a blade in here. You can adjust the height of it, but you clamp it down on your wire, you rotate it, and then you pull it off and it strips it. easily, quickly. It's easy and it's fast and it takes no time at all. And once you have it set, the depth set for that wire, you're in and out quickly, easily, nothing to it. Now I did just do a video testing all of the utility knives, so you guys go check that out. Remember, it's all for His glory, and I will see you guys on the next one.